Shotgun ammo isn't just evolving, it's leveling up in every direction. Fun fact, a new 12-gauge shell that dropped at SHOT Show 2025 can throw 300 pellets into a gobbler's neck at 40 yards. Another breaks clays like nothing else before it. But which of these flashy new loads actually deserve a spot in your ammo can? In this video, we'll talk about 5 new 12-gauge loads from SHOT Show 2025 that you must try, covering all sorts of loads from Federal's clay-crushing Masterclass to a tungsten blend turkey slayer, among other things. Let's dive right in. Number 1. Federal Masterclass. Federal has always catered to competitive scattergunners. Yet 2025's Masterclass line brings components once reserved for premium price tags into the budget of the weekly league shooter. Nothing about the new shell feels accidental. The straight wall hull seats an inserted plastic base wad to maintain exact interval volume, which means ignition pressure stays uniform from round to round. Inside, Federal dropped its redesigned one-piece podium wad. Instead of fragmenting the shot column the moment it exits the muzzle, the wad cups the payload through the choke and then releases cleanly, trimming flyers and tightening core density. High antimony lead pellets, harder than standard 6% alloys, keep their shape under acceleration, so patterns print nearly perfect circles instead of ragged ovals. Shooters get 6 load choices, each tuned to common sporting clay stations. A 1-ounce version, in either 7.5 or 8 shot, pushes 1250 FPS at 3 dram equivalent, a sweet spot for sustained lead swing without excessive recoil. An identical payload rises to 1300 FPS and 3.25 dram for springing teal or long chandelles, where an extra bit of pellet energy matters. For handicap and V-task shooters, a 1 1/8 ounce option holds the same velocities while adding nearly 40 pellets to the core. The result during pattern test on a 40-inch sheet is consistent 75% core density at 35 yards, 35% above generic promotional loads. The payload sits in an eye-catching blue hull that resists burnback, so handloaders can squeeze 3 or 4 repeat cycles before the mouth fatigue begins. Factory engineers claim the straight wall profile helps wad gas sealing, but any clay shooter will notice something more tangible. Every crimp edge arrives perfectly formed, no ugly petals to snag the chamber mouth. Sporting shooters have complained for years that they either buy bargain Walmart shells and suffer inconsistent drops, or pay through the nose for bespoke imports. Masterclass hits the middle ground. At only $15.99 MSRP per 25-round box, the shell leaves enough cash for a case of clays while still punching like the high-dollar stuff. Number 2. Winchester AA 60th Anniversary Edition. When Winchester introduced the original AA in 1965, shooters discovered a hull that could survive multiple reloads and a wad that shaved recoil without robbing velocity. 6 decades later, the company celebrates the milestone with a limited-run 60th Anniversary package. Yet nostalgia masks a mountain of incremental tweaks modern engineers slipped inside. The hull still uses high-strength polymer, but the resin formula now resists the microscopic gas cutting that dulls pattern uniformity in bargain shells. Winchester's exclusive AA wad remains, although its gas seal has been widened by 1/1000th of an inch to account for updated burn rates of clean powders. The shot remains extra hard, alloyed with antimony that rivals Federal's percentages, delivering superior energy transfer and tighter downrange cores. Shooters can pick among 3 personalities, all in 2 3/4 inch cases. The light target model clocks 1145 FPS, perfect for relaxed skeet rounds or junior shooters sensitive to recoil. The super handicap variant hits 1250 FPS to crush 50-yard trap birds, and the super sport option leaps to 1300 FPS for sporting clay towers and long crossers. Factory pattern boards at SHOT Show showed 100% patterns inside a 30-inch circle at 30 yards with a modified choke and the light target load, a metric many brands chase but rarely hit. Collectors will zero in on the commemorative box art, a deep burgundy reminiscent of the classic 1960s cartons. Winchester will not disclose production numbers, so scarcity alone drives interest. However, focusing only on collectability misses the point. Olympian Dania Vizzi trusted standard AA loads en route to her Paris podium, so the anniversary shell inherits the same pedigree. Price remains an unknown. Winchester listed it as during the show, but expect only a modest premium over current AA prices. That makes sense because Winchester understands competitors burn through cases every month and cannot afford boutique shells. The company banked on an economy of scale by loading the anniversary run on the same high-speed lines in Illinois, so volume keeps final cost in line. During media demonstrations, shooters reported a perceptible mellow pressure curve, the lingering benefit of that AA wad gas seal and clean burn propellant. Spent hulls ejected with no smudge carbon, a boon for semi-automatic shotguns relying on piston ports. Number 3. Heavyshot Magnum Blend. Turkey hunters chase pattern density, and Heavyshot's Magnum Blend has owned that metric since the early 2000s. This year, the company expands gauge options and updates packaging, but the 12-gauge version remains the flagship. Engineers kept the pellet mix of numbers 5, 6, and 7, all measured at 12 grams per cubic centimeter, 35% denser than lead. The payload weighs in from 1 ounce for 3-inch 1200 FPS loads to 2 3/8 ounces for the 3.5-inch 1300 FPS thumper. The proprietary blend places larger 5s at the periphery, 6s on the mid-ring, and 7s at the core, so pattern boards display a smooth gradient of pellet energy. 5s carry through feather and bone at 50 yards, 6s fill gaps, 7 raise count to nearly 300 hits in a 10-inch circle. Some longtime hunters feared the new box meant a cheaper tungsten substitute, yet a customer service call confirmed the pellets matched the original HEVI 13 metallurgy. Field Forum members who chronographed both old and new lots recorded near identical velocities, within 10 feet per second of published data. Those findings killed rumors of lower density shot. Pattern tests from aftermarket chokes, such as the Sumtoy 665, produced the same mid-200 pellet counts at 40 yards. The shell is not cheap, $32.99 MSRP for 5 rounds, but turkey hunters usually fire 1 shell per filled tag, so cost fades next to the ethical kill performance. Independent gel tests show number 7s penetrate soft tissue deeper than lead 5 at 40 yards because tungsten pellets maintain diameter and energy. When the wad leaves the muzzle, its sealed base opens like brakes, dropping away cleanly to prevent swirling shot. The result is pellet stacks that retain the original spacing imposed by the internal buffering. They don't collide mid-flight, so they arrive on target as a cohesive swarm. During SHOT Show live fire demos, industry riders patterned the 12-gauge Magnum Blend through a Benelli Super Black Eagle 3. At 40 yards, the core pattern remained a tight 15-inch oval that covered the gobbler neck silhouette with nearly complete pellet saturation. Extending to 50 yards, it opened the edges, but still produced a fatal spread. That performance gap over premium lead translates into extra seconds of decision time when birds hold outside 35 yards. Number 4. Winchester Longbeard TSS. Most turkey loads promise tight patterns and long legs, but Winchester's Longbeard TSS 12-gauge doesn't play in the same weight class. The shell is built around 18 grams per cubic centimeter tungsten, denser than lead, denser than bismuth, and dense enough to keep payload energy on target far beyond what most hunters grew up expecting from traditional turkey rounds. It's not about bigger booms, it's about smarter ones. The combination of Magnum payload and ultra-hard shot means more pellets hitting harder at greater distances. The 3-inch load carries 2 3/8 ounces of TSS, pushes it at 1,100 feet per second. That may sound tame to someone used to 1,300 plus FPS lead shells, but the retained energy from this tungsten makes velocity a less critical factor. Every pellet stays round thanks to the buffered payload flowing smoothly through the tight chokes and reducing deformation. What comes out the other side is a controlled swarm with devastating terminal performance. Pattern results speak for themselves. At 40 yards, where most lead loads start to thin out or throw wild flyers, Longbeard TSS continues stacking dense clusters into kill zones. At 50, it still holds lethal integrity. The fact that this kind of reach and precision is coming from a 3-inch shell, not a 3.5-inch shoulder killer, makes it even more practical for all-day turkey hunts. Whether you're chasing gobblers through timber or across open fields, this round lets you stretch the leash with confidence. One shell, one shot, one clean result. That's what Longbeard TSS was built for. Number 5. Apex Next Level Ninja TSS. Apex's Next Level TSS is one of the few 12-gauge loads that lives up to its name. Developed in collaboration with Woodhaven Custom Calls, this shell didn't come from a boardroom or a marketing brainstorm. It came from long conversations with real hunters who know what works in the field and what doesn't. The result is a finely tuned blend of number 8.5 and number 9.5 tungsten super shot that delivers tight, unforgiving patterns without sacrificing versatility at different distances. The 3-inch version carries a hefty 2¼ ounce payload, stacking up over 850 pellets per shell. The 3.5-inch variant jumps that number to 931 pellets. Every single one of those shot particles is made from TSS with a density of 18 grams per cubic centimeter, which means each pellet retains lethal energy even at extended ranges. And because the blend uses slightly smaller shot than typical TSS loads, it throws denser clouds without losing penetration. It's a smart middle ground between the small town and greenleaf offerings in Apex's catalog, made specifically for hunters who want lethal performance without overkill or underkill. What makes this shell shine isn't just its reach or its payload, it's how it performs across terrain. Whether you're calling in birds from a ridgeline or working timber where shot opportunities are tighter, the pattern consistency holds up. Some shells pattern better at 20 yards than 50, or vice versa. This one handles both. That level of versatility gives a little peace of mind on days when the birds don't read the script. These shells don't come cheap, with a 5-round box running between $60 and $85 depending on the retailer. But for hunters who only pull the trigger once or twice a season and want to make that shot count, the price makes sense. Apex didn't throw this together as a gimmick. They built it because serious turkey hunters were asking for exactly this. And based on the early season field reports, it looks like they nailed it. And that's it for this video. So regardless of what you're into, maybe you're into busting clays, punching paper, or calling in spring longbeards, these 5 loads could offer something seriously worth testing. Which of these would you trust in your shotgun this season? Drop your answer in the comments. Then hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap on that bell so you don't miss what's next.